Welcome to Spiritual Dessert Trews 102 for Russell Brand and other people. Seems we're still working on sexuality. So you get to see my hat, same hat. No, I'm taping these together. Come on, common sense. I didn't wear the same exact shirt every day for 3 days now. That would put a great relief on my laundry load. I hate laundry. I just think it's terrible. That's why I don't even like wearing clothes at home. It's a lot easier, but it's a lot easier when it's not 30 degrees. It's ridiculous. Put the heating blanket on him. I don't know. I'm supposed to be beyond it because I'm the spirit, right? Not a body. I should be able to just decide that it's perfect, decide that it's wonderful. It's interesting. The more I fast and meditate, the more I can. The guy that lived 256 years, he like got by on some herbs and some apple cider vinegar, and I can see how it would work. It's interesting. The more you meditate, the more you spend time in the spirit, less in the body. You don't really need food. You just need a little bit of water, perhaps. You need water. Well, I do anyway still. Maybe at some point you become completely spiritual light and you don't need it. But going back to sexuality. So that was hidden from it. It was the only thing we actually preserved. From our 12 helix DNA, we have 2 helix DNA. And so that was nice to leave that part intact so that at least we could still connect with the higher spiritual realms if you can find the partner that wants to do the same. Otherwise, you just, find some meaningless connection, which isn't worth living for. That's how I feel. Anyway, you've been stuck because you can't read the symbols of the language that you're speaking to yourselves with, so you dwell upon it in many of your love stories because they get you attention. If you didn't have a story, who would you talk to? Observe the body and see what is teaching the self. Ideally, you will heal the sore and create a place of greater comfort and joy as you learn to dwell more completely in your physical body and have a new identity of your sexuality. Sexuality is key. It's the doorway to the higher realms of consciousness. As you redefine yourselves and the light-encoded filaments give you a new definition of yourselves, you're going to change who you are, sexually as well. Sexuality must come up for all of you, and we will say from experience, it is the area that you are most frightened of at this time. That's why it's like, we're so all stuck on it. Probably because it's the only part of the DNA that's left intact. Thanks a lot. Yeah, but we got a bunch of chakras. And they just keep going up right through your head, past your head all the way up the light. As you're stuck on the idea of love and cannot comprehend what is going on with it, your difficulty is that you're looking for love outside yourself. If you're looking for somebody else to put meaning in your life and validate you, if you do not have that person, you become angry or feel that you're worthless. This is a pattern you grew up with, which your parents and society showed you. We have said over and over again that the most important thing you can do is love yourself and honor Earth. But you keep forgetting this and looking for the next relationship to make you whole or complete. You feel that without a relationship, you are perhaps less than an acceptable citizen. Then you feel lonely. You must learn how to be alone. Loneliness is simply a state of mind. You are never, never alone. You have multitudes and entities around you. Now that I know. What's kind of creepy is that my one friend can see spirits, and he once said, you have this like entourage. You never get lonely, do you? And I was like, absolutely not. I try to get alone. I try as much as I can. I love you all. I love people. I love everyone. I know we're all the divine enclosed, and sometimes people act up pretty badly, and it's hard to see them under that bad costume, but for the most part I can. The issues though lie where the spirits you don't see, the entourage that's following you, I guess that's all protection because a very, sweet and lovely innocent person's gonna need a lot of protection. So that's good. I'm more worried about like, oh really? So they see like everything? All my fun private moments? Yeah, that's interesting. And then I was like, oh well, so they've been watching for a long time. Oh man. But I called on them. When I was in danger, serious danger, I called on every archangel, every angel, every spirit, and I know they've been with me because then I can reach out now whenever anything happens and ask. Ask for answers. Ask for anything. You should turn to this. Especially if anything bad ever happens, just reach out because there's a ton of spirits following you. More than likely. If you would stop feeling sorry for yourselves, you would find that there is so much data constantly being blasted at you that you may want to be alone so you can have a good time receiving the content. When you love yourself and stop getting convoluted about the need to have someone else love you, you're able to accept that what someone offers. It is imperative that you value yourself so that you do not settle for love disguised. If you decide to go for a partner or to vibrate with someone, you do not receive what you want. Do not whine or nag or pout about the person to make them change according to your needs. If you set a value for yourself and you do not create it, then simply change your reality and continue onward alone until you meet someone who reflects your value. All the while, it's like putting yourself on a pedestal. Well, that's pretty much what it is. All the while, vibrate in the love of the self. Honor the self and understand that the journey here is about self-discovery in relationship to others. It's not just about husbands or wives. The journey here is about honoring your physical body and the uniqueness of the self as you touch the lives of many. Always allow yourself to work with the self. Let the self evolve. You are all afraid of being intimate with yourselves, of being alone with the self. Once you develop an intimacy, a silence, a self-love, and a containment of your energy, then you will want to make that aspect of intimacy your standard of intimacy with someone else. Sexuality can be very confusing at this time because you're raising your frequencies. When you join bodies, even when you hug one another, you exchange frequency. When you have a sexual experience, there's a hormonal release inside the body, and the hormones awaken certain energies inside the cells, and there's a transference of one person's essence into the other person. That is why when you have bad sexual experiences with someone, you sometimes cannot get rid of their energy to get it off you. Even though you don't want to be with the person, the sexual experience stays with you because you've had an electromagnetic exchange. You're going through this frequency modulation and learning how to raise your frequency to a place consistent of information, self-love, and self-intimacy. Therefore, it can seem very confusing and sometimes frightening to take this vulnerable thing you are learning about yourself and layer up and merge with another. The more you become aware, the more you can take charge of how you use your body, where you plug it in, where you sit it down, and certainly who you mix it with sexually. If you're expressing yourself sexually now encouraged your greatest growth, you would automatically create that experience for yourself because you would be ready for it. Understand that during the process of evolving the self, very often a period of dormancy and sexual activity occurs. Within the sexual frequency, you exchange with one another. So, if you're bonding yourself and chemically exchanging with a person who is not of your likeness, you're taking on their garbage because you're exchanging energy quite intimately. Sometimes you'll be led away from that kind of exchange. You may think, oh my goodness, what is happening? You can learn to use the energy that would stimulate you sexually without giving it over to another person. Instead of getting chaotic and crazy, you may explore that energy by practicing the art of masturbation, knowing that it is perfectly legitimate and fine to do it. Religions don't teach you that. They teach you all kinds of crazy stuff. The only place to grow is that they sort of capped off. That's pretty nuts. Or you may want to simply observe that you feel a sexual arousal and decide what you're going to do with it. You may say, well, I'm not going to act on this now. Let's see where this energy goes. Take the energy, let it rise through your body, and use it in other areas. You'll get to a point when you must adore, sustain, and love yourself as if you're holding yourself like a newborn babe. Pleasant dreams. Kiss, kiss. Mwah, mwah, mwah.